Hey, this video is to document what's being done to this car. This car, right here, this one. And it's not a how to do this. If you want to know how to do this, honestly, you probably shouldn't be doing this if you don't know how. So this is not a how to change the transmission fluid on a 2005 Volkswagen Jetta. But if some of you are going to watch and learn something and be able to do it, then good for you too. But this is more to cover my butt, so people can't say, well, he says he put new fluid in there. How do we know if he did or didn't? Watch the video. Video don't lie. So anyways, this is how you put fluid in a Volkswagen Jetta 2005. And if my trusty handy camera guy will shine down in here, this is a little peg, and I'll pull this hose off that you see I have on here. And this little peg is where you fill the transmission. It has a little cap with some O-rings that goes over it. Matter of fact, let's get the cap and show it to him. It's right up there. Just grab it. This isn't professional film editing. It doesn't matter. Look, right here. Turn around. Right behind you.
Oh.
That cap. Here, I'll show it to him. So, this cap has two O-rings on it, which seem to be good and rubbery, so we don't need to replace them. They still are soft and flexible. They're not hardened. So this two O-rings go here so that the cap doesn't pop off. And then this lip right here catches on these clips right here. So these clips kind of bend out, and you will twist it to get to the other one on that side and the other one on this side, and kind of pry them both out, and that releases these clips past this, and you can get this off. Don't break the clips, don't break this. It's all plastic and very fragile. So you get this off. There's no dipstick to check how much fluid goes in here either. So that being said, how do you get fluid in here? Kind of awkward spot underneath the starter. I'm guessing there is a way to do it with the radiator and everything attached, but it wouldn't be a lot of fun. It's not a whole lot of fun, even with the front end of the vehicle completely off, but it's doable. So I take a hose here. Don't ask me what size hose this is, depending on what size your fingers are. It's about that size, finger size. So all you want it to do is to fit tight over there. See, and it's just a regular old scrap piece of hose that I have, and I'm gonna hold it up like this and pour my fluid in here. So then the question becomes, how do you know how much fluid to put in it? Okay, so the car has to be level, and as you can see, it's on the ground now. Normally it would be jacked up, then the front cannot be higher than the back. It would have to be level. So the car has to be level, and you drain it, and you put what came out back in. But sometimes it's actually going to need a little more than that, because sometimes you were just low to begin with what came out. So about 3.5 quarts came out of this, and I'm going to put 4 back in it. Technically it should be 5, but I'm going to put 4, and then I'm going to stop. And that's with the car off. I'm going to put 4 quarts in it. Then I'm going to start the car up and run through all the gears. Let it get hot and warm. And once it's hot and warm, when I take this off, some should spill out from that tube. And if it's spilling out from that tube, I'm going to quickly put this cap on it, and that way I know it's full. And this cap and the O-rings will keep it, it'll clip and it'll keep it from spilling out. And that'll be there instead of the hose. So if this is running and at temperature, what's at temperature? I'd say 160 degrees Fahrenheit or hotter, maybe in between 160 to 210, somewhere around there. And anywhere in between those temperatures, and I have an infrared laser temp gun, is fun. You can get cats real excited with it. But you point the red dot at the transmission at the bottom of the pan, and you see the temperature that's at anywhere in between 160 to 220, you can call it hot. And then when hot, you would take the cap off with it running, and some should spill out. If none spills out, it's not full yet. Add more until it spills out, and then quickly put the lid on it, and then you call that full. So I'm going to start off with 4 quarts, with the car off, start it, let it get hot, pull the cap, see if it spills out. There's the recap on that. Why else do we have the front end of this off? Let's run through that to just kind of cover our butts on that. So, this car was parked and somebody backed into it. Geniuses, right? The world's full of them. Very high IQs to get a driver's license these days. You'd think they got it in the back of a cereal box, but whatever. So they backed into this car while it was completely parked at a stop. Stopped and parked, and somebody backed right into it. So they crushed the grill and the bumper and stuff, but it's not like the car was in a hard hit driving to where it damaged the engine or nothing. It was just cosmetic damage in the front. So we're replacing the grill, the bumper, the hood got a little bent. We replaced the hood, we replaced that fender, and this oil filter had taken a crack in the housing. I have the old one and I took it back there, but this housing was cracked and all the oil spilled out. So we replaced the oil filter housing. We put a new O-ring from where this bolts to the block. And that's actually a good thing because at the miles this thing had, they're notorious from leaking oil back there. So this one won't leak oil from back there. And it has all new seals. It has a brand new Wix oil filter. We're gonna put good oil in it and we're gonna put good transmission fluid in it. We're gonna put a radiator. We're gonna put an AC condenser that will bolt up to this. And I have it taped up now so no moisture gets in the line. And apparently I got it stuck in there and I need to try to get it unstuck. But yeah, I'll get this fished out of here. And that will hook up to the condenser. Even if I gotta unscrew that to get it back out. But whatever, that will attach there. And then it's gonna need to go to a shop where they're gonna vacuum out the AC system and make sure that everything's been vacuumed out. I checked the compressor for oil while I had it out. It's full, it has good oil. They'll recharge the AC system, it'll blow ice cold. If this compressor doesn't work, I have a backup compressor in case it doesn't. Grabbed it while I was at the junkyard. But it should work. So put the front end back on this thing, new radiator, new fluids. Let's get to the fluids. So on the fluid side of things, where's that cord of 5W4? Get that Castrol cord over there. I want to show them the oil I put in it. Just take the phone with you. Right there. Just walk right past it. Alright. So this is, as you can see, Euro car, right? And it's a European blend for a European formula. If you can see that right there. European formula. And this is 5W40. Castrol makes it. So this is the only oil that should go in these European cars. The 5W40. It's specially formulated for how Germans build these engines. So we put a big 5-gallon jug in there. It's full now with the Wix filter. It might take 5.5. It might take 6. So we may need this additional quart to top it off. Once we start it up, the oil filter will fill up and then we'll check and see how much more it needs and we'll use the rest of that. We went to Volkswagen and we got all original fluids from Volkswagen. Now they sell you half a gallon of water and half a gallon of mix. Do not add water, right? They mix it for you because they think you're so intelligent that you can't handle mixing your own coolant. Right? That's how highly they esteem your intelligence. So they say, do not add water. We did it for you, dummies. Okay? We're going to sell you a half a jug of water and a half a jug of coolant because y'all ain't capable of mixing that on y'all's own. So really, this is a whole gallon of coolant, right? And a whole gallon of water. Half and half in each one. So 2 jugs should fill the whole entire system. And this is original Volkswagen only stuff. So then we're going to move on to the transmission fluid. And the transmission fluid is only from Volkswagen too. Now when you go to the dealership, you give them the VIN number and they tell you this is the correct fluid for this car according to the VIN number. And this is the correct fluid for this car. This isn't what they sell you at O'Reilly's or Advanced Funny Parts or anywhere else. This is the correct stuff. So you want a transmission to live. I can tell you by the color of the fluid that came out of there, that fluid has never, ever, ever been replaced. This is the first time it's getting replaced. So if I'm gonna drain it and fill it, I'm gonna drain it and fill it with what was originally in it. Make sense, y'all? I'm big on like, let's keep it original so that it doesn't break down. Somebody else would have been like, oh, you can put Valvoline Max Life import blend. This says it's good for Germans too. If you want to do that, by all means, go right ahead. Me, I'm gonna go to the dealership and spend some money and get it, make sure I have some peace of mind. It comes with a corny little, here it is, crush washer. So this crush washer, as corny and pathetic as it looks, is $7. And this little washer goes on the drain bolt on the bottom of the transmission pan. So the transmission pan, you take the bolt out, you put this crusher on there, and then you tighten it up, and that keeps it from leaking out through there. A whole $7 and some change. If you want to talk about the cost, let me show you the cost. Here's the receipt. And yeah, look, so here's total $200, $199.02. And that little crush washer, $7.10. Wow, look at that. Your coolant was $28 each jug, and quantity times 2 over here, and then quantity times 5 on the ATF transmission fluid is $24.47. So coolant total was $57, tranny fluid total was $122, plus a replaced crush washer, our state sales tax here in Florida, Central Florida, and $200 out the door. So this is original Volkswagen parts, and you may say, why go to the dealership and spend $200? The thing is, you want to treat people like you want to be treated. And you can't tell someone, get in this thing, I worked on it, it's good to go, when you put crappy fluids in it that aren't the cars. Like, the one thing about European cars you got to understand, they're great cars. They're built to be Autobahn, very reliable cars. These Jettas, Volkswagens, they're like the Toyota Corolla of Europe. That's how they respect them. They respect them to that level. But they understand them. They know how to work on them. All the mechanics in Germany know these cars inside and out. They know what fluids to use, what fluids not to use. You get it. So your German car is only as good as the technician you have working on it. If he's going to honor the car and put the actual correct fluids in it, it's going to be a great car for years to come. If he's going to be cheap and go to O'Reilly's and be like, oh, I'll go to Walmart and get this jug of all vehicles. This says all vehicles, so that includes my Volkswagen, right? I can put that in there. And this is $12, Danny. I'm not going to Volkswagen. So if you got that guy working on your car, your Volkswagen is going to be a turd and it's going to break down. And you're not going to be happy. You get what you pay for, folks. I know what cars I can put this in and what cars I can't. The Chrysler over there can get this. It's better than the deck school they normally put in them. GM deck school, Chrysler deck school, garbage. This is actually better. It won't sludge up like deck school will for those cars. But I know which cars not to put this in. And the Volkswagen is one I will not put it in. The Volkswagen, now I'll save some money and go with the European formula. Formulated for European cars, and we'll go with the 5W40, right? I'll do that to save some money. And I got this at Walmart. And even this and this individual bottle, just these two bottles, no filter, was $40. And that's at Walmart. O'Reilly's got me for like $60 just on these two. Because, you know, they got to pay their employees. Aside from the oil, which was $40 at Walmart, the filter was like $13. So it's like a $53 oil change getting the Wix filter at O'Reilly's and the $40 in oil of European blend at Walmart. So there's your $53 and then your $200 on this stuff. So you're at $253 in fluids, and we're not even going to discuss everything spent on replacing everything, replacing the fender, the whole bumper, radiator, core support, oil cooler, all of it. So it all has a cost. But the car was good, y'all. Hear me out. This was a good car. Ran great. The only issue it had was some idiot backed into it. So we got the car cheap. because the person couldn't afford to fix it themselves. So I step in, I buy it, I fix it, and I rehome it. I find it a good home. And I make sure before I put it in a good home, I dot all the I's and I cross all the T's. I do it to cover my back. I gotta cover my own butt. And that's really what this video is about. But I also do it because you wanna treat people how you wanna be treated. And if I was them in their situation and I was in need of a used little car, I would wanna buy my little cash car from someone that was going to care enough to put the right fluids in the car, that was going to care enough that even if they're going to go to the junkyard, to install everything correctly and properly the way it needs to be installed, and to give me something back worth having. And that's the name of my business, Cars Worth Buying. I don't shine them up in Armor All like a jelly glazed donut, but then they pressure wash the engine, but then it really leaks from everywhere. I actually go through and make sure they won't leak. I actually go through and do what needs to be done as far as correct fluids and giving someone a car worth buying. Now, do I make them perfect? Did I fix everything wrong with this car? No. If I made it perfect, then I'd have to call the business Perfect Cars, right? But there's no such thing as perfect cars. You want a perfect car? Even if you buy a 0-mile car off the assembly line, guess what? It's still not perfect because it has what? A recall, right? It has manufacturer defects. There's people that don't even have their first oil change yet to do, and they're already going back to the dealership over some issue that their brand new 0 miles car had. It's called a recall, a defect of some sort. So there's no such thing as perfect, even in your brand new car that you just peeled this clear sticker off the front hood and nobody sat in it but you. Those cars aren't perfect. No such thing as a perfect car. What this is the car that the young person, the person that's in a financial situation, can afford cash with no payment, and it's a car worth buying. That's exactly what it is. It's a car worth buying. Is there other things they're gonna have to do to it? Yes, but it's gonna take them from point A to point B reliably, and little by little, as they afford, they can do all the other things it needs. If it needs brake, like we did the front brakes, it needs the back brakes. We put tires on it, but it needs an alignment. You get what I'm saying? Like, they can do all that over time. You get what I'm saying? We replaced the driver's seat because it had a rip in it. We put one that doesn't have a rip, but it needs tinted windows. You know what I'm saying? They can go get tinted windows or deal with the fact that this car needs tinted windows. They're going to hate it in the summer without them. But whatever, we're going to give it to them with AC, with a seat that's not ripped. Whatever they do with it from there is on them. I sell them a car worth buying, not a perfect car. It ain't their dream car. It ain't their best car. It probably ain't even their last car. But it's the car they need right now, and it's a car worth buying. And that's what I can put my name and my reputation on. So you see it now. This is to cover my butt. We put new hoses on it, new radiator hoses. We put everything that needed to be done. We cleaned up the engine. If it did have a leak, we'd be able to see where the leak went because everything is clean. Nothing is covered in oil. So now it's just a matter of put this front end on, which we will do tonight. This is a used refurbished battery. The junkyard sells like refurbished batteries and they mark them. So what it is this battery was actually bought in December of 2021, which was 2 years ago. So the battery is only 2 years old. And if you look over here, it's a die-hard. And it's a silver die-hard. And this battery ended up in some car at the junkyard. And then the junkyard said, let's test the battery and see if it's good. And if it's good, we can put it on a slow trickle charger and bring it back up and we can resell it. And the junkyard deemed it's resellable. It's a good battery. And then the junkyard put their mark on it and sells it to you. That's their marking. So you can't return the battery and say it's from the battery you sold me and it's really another battery. That's how they know it's the battery they sold you. But it's a junkyard battery and you pay $50 for it at the junkyard. There's a little hack for free that you didn't know about. You can go get a 2-year-old battery that's been refurbished for $50 at the junkyard. And like I said, it's not perfect. How long will that battery last them? Maybe another year, maybe longer. Who knows? We'll find out, right? But it's definitely going to get them through another year. I'll tell you that. So not to drag the video out too long, but I just kind of wanted to say the important things. It's a car worth buying. It's not a perfect car. We treat others how we want to be treated. We care about what we do. We put the right fluids in the car. And we do these videos to cover our butt because these people happen to be very nice people, the people that are going to be buying this car. But not everybody's as nice as them. And I just got into the habit of making these videos because people are slick and they think you're dumb, and they'll go and just try to drag you down to civil court and make your life hell over the stupidest things in the world. And it's just like, you're out here trying to do right by people, and they're out trying to see how they can get over on you in civil court over stupidity, over nonsense. Like, they got nothing better to do. And I've been there with those stupid people before. And it makes you appreciate the good people like these people even more. I know these ain't that type of people, but I've gotten in the habit of making these videos. They're good to have. If they decide to sell this car to someone one day, they have proof of what was done to it through this video also. So it's mutually beneficial for them to have his documentation of when they bought the car, what was done. If I had to go to another mechanic shop, if he moved out of state or something, he can have this video as a reference of what was done. Yeah, the transmission was serviced. The mileage on the car, I don't remember at this point. Ignore that. Ignore that. If I don't, oh no. Of course, I'm getting a phone call. Is it still recording? Okay. So, I think the mileage is 170. And the transmission's being serviced, all the oil change, all the fluids. I think that's the mileage I'm selling. I will confirm that later in the vehicle description. Right now, I don't have the battery all the way hooked up. But yeah, 170K, all this work is being done. New radiator, new hoses, new oil filter housing, new transmission service. Yeah, pretty much a whole new front end. I won't make the video any longer. I'm getting phone calls and people interrupting. Thank you for watching. Catch you on another video. God bless.